Hey, I'm here with Andy Gibbon from Why? Why? They're from Asheville, North Carolina. It's a surf band, and over here we have a video that is coming up this week. It's a performance in their rehearsal space, and it is great. I saw a Korg synthesizer in there, and you guys
Yeah.
have a really cool keyboardist, and to go along with your surf guitar drippy um, sound. So you wanna start by introing yourself and what it is your band's trying to convey or accomplish.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Andy Gibbon. We're with Y, comma Y, question mark. We're from Asheville, North Carolina. We're a four-piece surf band, bass, drums, guitar, and keyboards, mostly sort of organ sounds. Um, I would say we sort of fit into the sort of surf noir sort of category. It's dark and minor key, but it's a little different than the creature feature kind of spooky surf. It's certainly not some shiny Southern California surf, but all instrumental. Um, but I don't know. We're really just here, sort of having fun, experimenting, creating our sound. We've been around for about 6 months, maybe. Mostly just gigging. We're all musicians, play in other bands. We all come out of sort of the punk scene around here in Asheville. We all play other instruments in other bands. So this was really kind of just a project for fun, sort of music playtime, switching around instruments, doing different things, making music with our friends. So we do a good bit of gigging around town in the Asheville area and the North Carolina, South Carolina area. Working on our album now. We should have it out hopefully within the month, I think. Our first EP, about 6 songs.
Oh wow! So on your Bandcamp page, people will get a look at your demos. So we'll have a link in the description where they can check that out. Are you gonna leave those up once the album goes live?
We'll see. Once we have the real tracks in place, we'll see how we feel about them and how they hold up. They're really sort of raw tracks just to sort of get our songs together. There's a couple of covers in there too. Use something to present clubs and stuff for getting gigs. But I think we'll probably keep them sort of as like an extra special surprise to sort of see where we came from. I always love going back to listen to music.
Oh yeah.
Back in the when your ideas are forming, and then compare it to the final product, just see how it all comes together. I love seeing that stuff from other things, see where the ideas come from, how things grew, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that was one cool thing about, like, I don't know, you like a box set. I'm way into vinyl,
Yeah.
and sometimes, like, if you get a CD box set, you'd get like demos and stuff like that. But like on box sets of vinyl, you like get like Blondie, for instance.
Yeah.
They had a song, Heart of Glass. And originally it was called Once I Had a Love.
Yeah.
And it was, over the disco song, and it went through different iterations of how it grew, and they included all of that from the vault. And I think that's a great idea to put your demos up there, because it'll show the growth you've had in that period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Playing those songs and seeing what they sounded like when they were first just ideas, versus what the final product sounds like. I love seeing that stuff in other bands, seeing the writing process, seeing how other people's minds work. So I think we'll probably leave all that stuff up there for whoever wants to go through it.
Awesome. So what do you what's your gear of choice? I was watching the video, and what looks like a Jaguar also kind of looks Mustang type.
Yeah, so that's a Jazzmaster.
Okay.
So I'm a bass player primarily. I've played bass in a lot of bands since being a teenager. I've done guitar in a couple of projects, but bass is really my main instrument. That's part of what makes this band so fun as well. Getting to do something a little different, break out on the instruments. So I got that guitar as really a chance to get exactly what I always wanted. So it's a Fender Mod Shop guitar, which is really cool. You go into the Fender website and you can sort of pick and choose colors and features and stuff like that. So stuff that I
Really?
find, just in a stock off the shelf sort of thing. So it's got a little stripped down with some basic electronics and a dark circuit and all that sort of thing. It's in this cool silver burst color with a black pink card, which I always wanted. Locking tuners, which you usually don't find on some of those things. But my favorite little detail about it is that the knobs on there are Fender P-Bass knobs, so they feel real familiar.
How did you get that on the Jazzmaster?
Just a little option. It's a really cool feature. If you ever want to play around with guitars, even if you're not going to purchase something, just go and build your dream guitar on the Fender website. It's pretty sweet.
Wow. Is your P-Bass like the your bass of choice when you're playing bass?
Yeah, so I've got, all sorts of things I've collected over the years, but that P-Bass, it's a 1978 P-Bass. I bought it back in high school, back in the mid-90s, and it was my first full-size bass guitar, and I've played a lot of different things over the years, but it's the one I always come back to. It always feels like home. It's all beat up to crap, and it looks terrible, but it's the familiar thing. That's kind of how I do instruments.
That's the best look for a P-Bass, man. The one that's been taken through the mud. And
yeah, it's meant to be used. It's not meant to be put up in a case somewhere.
Exactly. I have this terrible arthritis in my hands, and I can't play my guitar anymore. And I had this really hot rod Strat. And my daughter used to play guitar, and she had a Strat, and we got rid of it. So I gave her my hot rod because she's taking guitar lessons in college.
Oh, cool! Great instrument to especially to start.
Yeah.
With. Something cool quality.
Yeah. It was nice to see her playing that. It was just cool.
Yeah, right on. It's great.
So tell me about the Roland amp behind you. What do you use that for?
So that is Ashley, a keyboard player, who also happens to be my wife. Is my stack of amps back there. So that's the keyboard amp that she uses. She plays two keyboards. So she has got a Vox Continental. It's sort of the newer reissue, not the vintage style, but it's similar to the Nords and stuff like that. But what I really like about it is that it's got really great sort of Vox Continental sounds and sort of those electronic keyboards that you hear. And, a lot of surf music, a lot of that 60s garage rock music and that sort of thing. It's got a lot of other sounds too from, Fender Rhodes and Hammond sounds and some piano sounds and stuff. But she mainly uses that with sort of those Vox tones, which really fit the kind of music we're doing. She's also got a Chord Mini that she plays for more synthy sort of things. We've played around with theremins and stuff, but it's really hard to pull off, especially in a live situation.
Yeah. Unless that's all you're playing.
Yeah, right. And even, I've messed with it a little bit, and it just takes way more effort and precision and talent.
Yeah.
So
have you heard of Night Chill?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thea from Night Chill is like an expert. She goes out and performs by herself too.
I don't know how she does it, and especially in a live situation where you got tune and all those distractions around you. Yeah,
she's like in the zone when she plays.
Yeah, it's a real talent. I can't imagine how much practice it takes. But so we're using that chord for those sort of synthy, spooky sort of sounds.
I love that sound, and people will hear in the video this weekend. But what I really liked about it was I grew up in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So synth pop was really, really super popular. If you remember the new wave, the early to mid 80s, that particular sound. It's not quite that because it goes well with your surf music, but it's used as a lead instrument, would you say, in your band?
Yeah, absolutely. We use it, there's certainly a lot of holding down chords and stuff on the keyboard parts, but it's part of what I like about this band is being able to swap for lead voice. you know, the guitar certainly does its part, but it allows me to lay back and play sort of those swell guitar chords and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We actually just did about a month ago a benefit concert here for Asheville Middle School. It was part of a cover band show. There were probably about 8 bands, and everybody picked some sort of theme or another band to play to cover. So went and did Nirvana was our theme, so we played maybe 8 Nirvana songs. But instrumental surf style, and it meant that we were able to use the keyboard sort of as that lead voice and cover some of the vocals on about half.
Cool.
About half. So it just gives us some versatility instead of being just a straight guitar-focused surf band. It just gives us some
Awesome. What was the most challenging Nirvana song to put to put to your instrumental music? Because no matter how raw Kurt Cobain was, he did have melody in his singing.
Absolutely. And that's one of the cool things about this project that we did. You know, growing up in the 90s, and I remember when Nevermind came out and was super into it, and then when I was learning to play guitar, those were the songs off that album. This is sort of the first things I learned to play. So listened to an awful lot of Nirvana over the years in their sort of original form. But when you start breaking them down, try and arrange them sort of in a surfy instrumental sort of way, you kind of realize what really great songs there are. The melodies are really strong, the arrangements are really cool, the chords are really cool in ways that I didn't really appreciate. But anyway, to answer your question, I think the hardest ones partly were things like Team Spirit, which everybody knows, so that if you make a mistake, then everybody's going to know it. Expectations, but I think some of the coolest ones were like, some of the heavier songs. We did "You Know You're Right," which is a pretty screamy, Territorial Pistons, which is a pretty screamy kind of song. But a good song is a good song, and it lends itself. Really
Yes, that is an excellent point. Exactly what you said. There's like some songs that no matter who does what genre, it shines because it's a good tune.
Yeah, absolutely. We hear that around here. Asheville, Western North Carolina is sort of like bluegrass town all over the place, and so you hear.
Oh man.
Bluegrass covers of all that stuff, and like you said, a good song. We played bluegrass, we played surf and stuff.
Yeah. Have you? I can't remember what the name of the band is, but it was about 20 years ago. There was this bluegrass tribute to AC/DC.
Oh yeah, it was those Picking On guys. I know what you're talking about.
Have you heard it?
Yeah. So before doing surf, before doing punk, I was a bluegrasser guy playing bluegrass bass and stuff, and that stuff was everywhere. It was sort of like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
They did Zeppelin, all that stuff.
Really cool. It's really good.
Yeah, love that stuff. Like you said, good songs are good songs, no matter how you do them.
Yes. Yeah, they translate very well.
Yeah.
And so, all right, I see you have, is that a deluxe reverb over your left shoulder?
Yep, that's my main just gigging and recording amp. Pretty standard stock parts, deluxe reverb amp. Does everything I need it to do.
And that's got 12 in it, right?
Yeah, yep, it's just got stock 12-inch speaker.
Nice.
Basic. I'm not a gearhead. I don't like, mess and modify and stuff like that. Kelly, our drummer, he'll swap speakers out of everything he's got and mess with his hardware and things like that.
Nice.
I really
so I imagine you guys would have your own PA, or are you loud enough that you don't need one?
Usually the clubs we play have something or another, but we like to be pretty loud. Everything sounds better when you turn your amp up. It's one of the nice things about playing instrumental music is that sound check's real easy. You don't have to get all the mics set up and the monitors and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
what sort of reverb do you like to use? I knew you have a really clean sound coming out of that Jazzmaster.
Yeah, so I'm just using the stock reverb inside the amp.
That's it?
It just works. Yeah, maybe someday I'll upgrade a little bit, but I've tried pedals, I've tried other things, and it just sounds like a good classic spring reverb amp, which is kind of the sound that I'm going for.
Yeah.
Same with the tremolo circuit on there, though it's a little bit noisier than I wish it was. It just does what I need it to do. So all those stock settings work really well for me.
You can't go wrong with a Fender.
No, it's got the power I need. It's got the sound, and I've got a basic pedal board of about. I guess I've got 5 pedals on there for some dirt. So my chain, I'll do a rig rundown here sometime. But a basic chain. Again, I'm not a real pedal head. I play bass in an indie band, and those guys have pedal boards. 20 different.
Oh yeah.
And all those sorts of things. I like to keep it simple. So I've got an OCD for distortion. I've got just a compressor just to give me some sustain. I use it as a clean boost as well. MXR delay pedal. I just got a fuzz pedal that I put on there. Sort of still trying to figure out what to do with it, but pretty basic. Stock sounds, they're classic for a reason. They sound good.
I really dug the tune, and here's something I haven't done before. So I'm gonna try it live here, and we'll see if it works. All right. We're gonna give people a little teaser.
Give you the annotated version.
My wife actually worked out on this band records. My records, a song called Vesper.
That sounds pretty rad.
Yeah, thanks, man. So this song is called Vesper, and it's a few of our songs have this sort of interesting origin story, and it goes back to where this band came from in the first place. So there's this really cool Asheville area DIY scene of musicians, a lot of punk stuff, a lot of louder stuff, but and a lot of us are all just swapping bands, but different instruments and different things. There is this podcast by this husband and wife duo called Holy Crap Records. They do a podcast where weekly they do sort of a review of maybe 5 or 6 songs that they think are cool, and they talk about all that sort of thing. But for a while they were sort of putting on these compilations of songs from local Asheville area musicians, but there would always be a theme. It would be a Halloween theme, or a Christmas theme, or James Bond was one, or something that sounded like a Ramones song was one. And so Asheville area bands would contribute a track, they would go on a CD, and then they'd put it out, raise fundraiser on Bandcamp. But it had to be a new song, and it had to be written to the theme, which forced us to do some sort of songwriting for themes that we normally wouldn't do. So this song, Vesper, that is in that video, that was for the James Bond theme, so it's sort of a James Bond-esque original theme. So it got us sort of thinking in other ways, but it also meant that we now had a sort of a group of songs that we may not have written otherwise. We've got a song coming up on a new EP called Dark Waters that was written for a Halloween theme that went out on one of these Bandcamp compilations. And sort of the band sort of formed up around these songs, so the songs kind of came first, and we put together a band to be able to play some of those live and some other new songs. So it's an interesting way of songwriting, coming up with new things. But that's where this song came from, sort of our James Bond theme.
Yeah, it's a great tune. It's a great tune.
Thanks.
So tell me what's coming up this spring and summer for you guys. I imagine the EP or album will come out, and then you'll do some shows. Where is Ashfield in relation to a larger city in North Carolina?
Let's see. So Asheville is the biggest city in western North Carolina. We're probably about 2 hours away from Charlotte to the northwest.
Oh, great.
And we're probably about 2 hours from Knoxville, Tennessee, across the border.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this cool little resort town, this sort of bohemian, sort of hippie spot. Mountain town. Just a real artsy, sort of cool spot. There's a lot of people like myself from some other place. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. Moved down here to Asheville.
Yeah.
But as far as what the band is doing, we're doing a bunch of gigging up through the fall and December. We're taking a break in the wintertime, and all the tourists sort of clear out of town, so there's not all that much going on in Asheville in January, February, March. So we're taking that time to record, get this EP of about 6 songs together that we've been sort of able to do for the last 6 months.
Are you going to take advantage of Nashville, or are you going to kind of record it on your own?
Yeah, so we're doing most of it on our own. We're going to try and mix as much of it as we can, and then we'll send it out to some of our friends who are a lot more talented than we are to get final mixes, things like that. I think we're going to try and put out a little 7-inch vinyl or something like that, just to have some medium. It's always a funny thing of what do you do with albums these days. You know, it used to be CD releases and stuff like that. I don't even know if I have something to play a CD on anymore.
Yeah, I had to buy something because the reviews I do are a lot of CDs.
Yeah.
And I had to actually buy a CD player so that I could review CDs.
Yeah, my computer doesn't have it anymore. My car doesn't have a CD player anymore.
No, mine either.
So everything's digital, which is super cool because it makes everything really accessible. But when you record an album and you want to release it, then, you know, what do? There's no physical piece of anything to put out. So I think we're going to try and put together just a little.
Yeah, I agree. There's something about, I guess, as musicians, to like actually have something to hold in your hand, and like I made this, you know.
Yeah, it makes it feel real somehow in a way that.
Yeah.
You know, living on Spotify doesn't quite do it for me in the same way.
Yeah.
So we'll have CDs.
But it does do the job getting your name out there, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is great what having digital music does for reach and distribution, and, you know, getting it out to people like yourself that would never come across it in any other way if it's just on a physical CD somewhere. But at the same time, it feels like a little bit of a letdown to have that physical piece.
So, Andy, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I want to remind our viewers that in the description of the video, there will be a link to their Bandcamp page, Why. And coming up this week, we're going to have this video over here, and we're going to have a review and possibly a gear video.
Yeah.
So Why Andy is going to be the feature interview this week, and I am really stoked to share this just really, really great music with you. And Andy's quite a kind man for showing up on a Thursday morning.
It doesn't take a lot of arm twisting to leave work to go talk about rock and roll. But thanks so much for having me on, Ryan. I love what you're doing.
Thanks, man. Don't forget to check out the channel's multitude of great resources. All that can be found in the description column of all our videos. Also, don't forget to check out contacts and information from this band. Also, a link to the exclusive behind the scenes that we do of our content. All our contact information, our mailing address, email, Facebook, Instagram. It's an interesting way to contact the band, support the channel. On your left, you'll see a really cool video for you guys. Check out on the right, there's a playlist, videos related to this content you just watched here. And in the middle, Screamo Girl, check out a subscription to our channel and support our cause, which is helping surf music.